For those of you that love talking about animals, from Sci News, Laquintasaura venezuelae, new herbivorous dinosaur discovered in Venezuela. Paleontologists from Switzerland and the United Kingdom have discovered a new genus and species of plant eating dinosaur that lived in what is now Venezuela during the earliest Jurassic, about 200 million years ago. And now, from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to Creature Guide Live Prehistoric News. And let's dive right back into the prehistoric news of the day.
Wait a minute. So they basically just named it after Venezuela.
Yeah, this has happened with quite a few animals. Can't think of any others offhand, but it's not uncommon for certain species, also in certain areas where prehistoric animals are not commonly found, to be named after a certain country, province, state, city,
I
um,
found it
county.
in some of the stuff you've done. I found that on the when people own property or something. I've seen that or the park, but the country I just find funny.
So let's see. These look like some of the earliest ornithischian dinosaurs. So the ornithischian dinosaurs being the bird-hipped lineage that would later on become the stegosaurs, the iguanodonts, the hadrosaurs, the ceratopsians. But it's a huge debate as to when the Ornithischian lineage first evolved, because some refer to a certain small plant eating dinosaur called Pisanosaurus back in the mid Triassic period, around 229 million years ago. But it's still up for debate. It could be just simply another member of the Saurischian lineage.
Are these just roach eaters?
Oh, well, a lot of the time, so-called herbivores can be omnivorous, but yes, it was a roach eater, or it's very possible,
So these guys would survive in Texas
or
pretty
at
well.
least it might have been. We haven't read it. Um, Probably, especially in the eastern part, they were probably. Reason why I say that is they would prefer a much more humid sort of environment, whereas West Texas, Central Texas, South Texas would not be so preferable, at least in my opinion. After we restore some of the forests. Anyway, the newly discovered dinosaur named Laquintasaura venezuelae belongs to ornithischians, bird-hip dinosaurs, a group which includes species such as Stegosaurus and Iguanodon. It is the first dinosaur found in the north of South America. Until now, it is. Maybe it's just okay, so this is an older article, but I'm guessing by at this point it was older prehistoric mammals and possibly proto mammals before dinosaurs were being discovered. Also, not much research is done generally in northern South America. Most of the dinosaurs are discovered in different parts of southern Brazil, parts of Chile and Argentina, or especially just the overall Patagonian region. Not so much northern Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, a couple of those Dutch colonies. So let's see. Until now, paleontologists had assumed that the region was uninhabited by dinosaurs as it was surrounded by large deserts. And in many of these large deserts, especially when you travel all the way to the late Cretaceous, so somewhere around 70, 75 million years ago, there have would have been a series of ecosystems, or you could say somewhat oases in between these deserts, and they could sustain the large dinosaurs in the region. And by large, I mean weighing over 30 tons. Fossil bones of at least four individuals of Laquintasaura venezuelae. It's good that we found more than just one specimen. That tends to be the outcome. Were recovered from the La Quinta formation of the Venezuelan Andes. Okay, I've heard of the La Quinta. The species was about the size of a small dog, measuring about 1 meter in length or 3.3 feet, and walked on two hind legs. It lived in small groups and was largely herbivorous. Well, they're probably coming up with a small group because they found four amongst each other. It's probably correct. Um, there are certain instances where it's a big question as to whether or not certain species would have been social, or the way that they were the group was buried, they just came from different surrounding areas. But it's likely in most of these cases these were social animals that ended up just being buried at once. Long curved tips on some of its teeth suggest it might have also eaten insects or other small prey. I wonder what it means by curved tips because there's a wide range of different types of dental structure when it comes to carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. Let's take a look at another individual from. Do we know when this was from? Uh, to do okay, right at the beginning of the Jurassic. So here we have a ancestor of both the stegosaurs and the ankylosaurs. So this is one of the earliest theropharians of the ornithischian lineage of dinosaurs, Scutellosaurus. And unlike these, most stegosaurs or ankylosaurs, this animal only reached somewhere around 3 feet and maybe weighed somewhere around 20 pounds or 8 kilograms and was likely feeding on different species of vegetation, so feeding on a variety of ferns, maybe younger araucaria trees or different young conifers. It wouldn't have fed on any species of flowers because they haven't evolved yet, as well as different species of fruit. I wonder who this little mammal is in this instance. Oh, look. Yeah, it's. Oh, I think that's Scutellosaurus. Did he get like an insect or a lizard? I can't tell.
I don't think that's a mammal.
I think it is. What makes you say it's not? It has some sort of a long reptilian sort of a tail.
Well, at first I thought the pattern was something else. Now I realized it's not.
It has a bit of like a
I thought it was osteoderms on it. That's not what it is.
it has a bit of like an eastern quoll, so a modern marsupial predator sort of coloration. So actually I kind of wonder if it is the ancestor to marsupials. Oh, let's head back to the article. Uh, there we go. Laquintasaura venezuelae lived very soon after the major extinction at the end of the Triassic period, showing dinosaurs bounced back quickly after this event. Many of the dinosaur lineages simply survived. By the way, the Scutellosaurus, I never mentioned the time that it existed. This animal existed over in um it was Arizona around 195 million years ago. So it was shortly after this Laquintasaura would have evolved. So let's see. With this also being an ornithischian dinosaur, I wonder how closely related to it might have been to Scutellosaurus.
They found a lot of it.
Yeah, this is really good to see. Many times a skull isn't found to new species of dinosaurs, and it's good to see that they found the upper skull. But much of the ribs, a little bit of the neck vertebrae, tail vertebra, complete leg, very long shin bone or tibia compared to the femur bone or the thigh bone, and long ankle bone. So this means that this animal was a fast runner. This is actually in proportion with each other. This is very similar to what you see on modern day cheetahs on their hind limbs. Good shoulder blade, nothing on the forearms, but this is very likely what it looked like.
Didn't they say they found 4 of them though?
Yes, they did. Maybe they show us more. Guess we'll see. It is fascinating and unexpected to see they lived in herds, something we have little evidence of so far in dinosaurs from this time. The fact that is from completely new and early taxon means we can fill some of the gaps in our understanding of when different groups of dinosaurs evolved. There is certain evidence, I believe, of early species of sauropodomorphs or the ancestors to the long necked sauropods that they would have lived in groups. Possibly the sauropodomorph Massospondylus, which was somewhere around 10 to 15 feet in length. But I would say it's not very common to find that. We definitely find it with many of the species of carnivores, but not so much the herbivores. And at this point, with the early ornithischians, this is one of the first.
I don't think most people know that over 200 species of sauropodomorph existed.
Um, s- Well, technically, if you're including the sauropodomorphs or prosauropods, you could be pushing over 300. That's including the larger long neck sauropods as well. But yes, there were that many. And the true sauropods don't start evolving until somewhere around 175 million years ago. So at this point, it wouldn't be for another 25 million years do we start seeing um, the true sauropods, but you do have large species of sauropod already evolving, and they did survive the um, Jurassic extinction. There was an extinction event that occurred, but it really occurred different species of reptiles on land, sometimes over in the ocean as well, like those distant relatives of the later sea turtles, as well as very distant relatives of mosasaurs, like the nothosaurs would have gone extinct. Even certain ichthyosaur groups. Anyway, let's keep going. The early history of bird hipped dinosaurs is still very patchy, as so few of them have been found. This early species plays a key role in our understanding of the evolution not only of this group, but of dinosaurs in general. And it's finished. Well, too bad they didn't show us the pictures of the other ones. Maybe they haven't finished excavating, well, at the time, excavating the site. So, what was I getting at? Oh, so despite this is the odd thing about the Ornithischians, despite them having um, a bird-hipped pelvis, they are very distantly related to birds. In fact, the long-necked sauropods, theropods, so animals like T. Rex, Velociraptor are much more close related to birds and Brachiosaurus than animals like Triceratops and Stegosaurus, despite having lizard-shaped hips. So taking another look at an early Jurassic giant. This is Leliansternus. So when looking at the skull of Leliansternus, it seems to not really show, or it doesn't really have a crest. But looking at the impressions of it, it seems to be that this animal would have had a smaller crest version of Dilophosaurus. Now, it is a big question, and by the way, if, everyone's wondering, this is some sort of a play or somebody in a suit. But this is
'Cause you can see
probably
the person's legs if you look real close. They're just painted.
oh yeah, I didn't notice that. Um, I'm not sure about the height, but when it comes to the length of this animal's short, or this representation in length compared to the real life specimen. Lelian sternus, there's been a huge debate as to how big this predator would have been. So it was found in Germany, and it existed somewhere around 192 million years ago. Yet it was the estimates are somewhere between 18 feet in length to as much as 30. So somewhere between like 5.5 and 9 meters, and probably reaching over easily 2,000 pounds. This was a more of a lightly built sort of theropod. Now, for the time, it was one of the strongest. This is probably a member of the Coelophysoideae lineage of dinosaurs, though there were certain debates that Leliansternus might have been simply another species of Coelophysis. So Coelophysis might have started from that 9 foot, 40-pound individual back in the late Triassic to this giant. But there seems to be enough difference in morphology of the animal that it's its own distinct genus within the Coelophysoideae lineage of theropods. They also seem to have a much shorter leg structure compared to its body size than when looking at animals like Coelophysis. So Coelophysis would have been much more nimble. And you could say, well, wouldn't that be quite obvious considering Coelophysis is such a smaller animal? It has to chase after a smaller game. Well, there are different species of animals that are much smaller and they're carnivores and they're not very quick and they actually have quite short legs compared to their body size. But in this instance, for some reason, like when looking at the thigh and the shin bone compared to just their overall length, they're quite short in Lilian sternus. Not that it isn't capable of running and eating you. Anyway, so it probably preyed on sauropodomorphs. I mean, it was the top predator where it existed.
Wait, how big was it?
Oh, so around it's possible it could reach 30 feet in length and weigh to 2,000 to 2,500 pounds.
Oh, I'm looking at this thing and it looks small.
Oh, this animal is so. This is Megapnosaurus.
Oh, you were talking about the other one.
Yes,
I
yeah,
literally didn't think it was that big.
yeah, it's quite enormous. Could be as small as 18, but it looks like those might have been simply subadults and they weren't finished growing.
Well, they illustrate them like they're very small. Everybody does it. They don't it doesn't have a look of a massive animal.
Yeah, and also in this instance, seems to have a bit of like a Megaraptor. Well, definitely not him, but Megaraptor sort of look. They were quite distantly related. Megaraptors haven't evolved yet. Okay, so this animal has also seen some changes, at least in the naming. So this is Megapnosaurus, or at least that's what happened back in 2001. Beforehand, this carnivore, so this is from South Africa, somewhere around 190 million years ago. And it reached somewhere around 7 feet in length and maybe weighed 30 to 40 pounds. But it used to be called Centarsis. And this animal was represented in the 2001 series when Discovery series when dinosaurs roamed America, which is a great documentary. And at the time, they just recognized it as Centarsis, and I don't remember what the debate was, but they ended up renaming the genus Megapnosaurus. So now Centarsis is an invalid genus, which I mean, I like the name. It did represent the animal coexisting with Dilophosaurus, and it likely wouldn't have. In fact, it might have lived um, possibly a bit earlier compared to Dilophosaurus. Now, oh, it's got it. That's interesting. Taking out Scutellosaurus. Well, this is the early Jurassic, so it's very possible the two might have been
How
able to
can you
cross
tell
paths.
that?
What?
How did you know what it was taking out?
Here, look. Uh, Here. I mean, they're fairly similar. I mean, I think there just comes to a point where you quickly recognize, like, when you're
I
consistently looking at this, like what prey animal it's feeding on. Oh yes, also Centarsis is a member of the specifically Coelophysidae lineage of theropods, so it is closely related to Coelophysis. Did I say Centarsis? Anyway, Megapnosaurus. It's okay if you use the name. It- um, the paleontology community will understand who you're talking about. They probably use his name too. Anyway, this is a very well preserved specimen of Megapnosaurus, and it is interesting. It has a somewhat Dilophosaurus sort of look, and this is what you see with many later species of the Coelophysid lineage. They start becoming something like Dilophosaurus, despite Dilophosaurus being from a different family of theropods and still being debated as to what, but not closely related to Coelophysis. So let me know what your favorite species of early Jurassic dinosaur is. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know because nothing is better than all animals all the time.